Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I gotta tell you, a ton of people are buying XRP, and I wanted to highlight this because I haven't made a video where I was talking quite about this metric really in some time, but it's important to be aware of, especially given that this is in the face of a tremendous pullback over the last couple months in terms of market price and really just speculators speculating. Like there's been volume drawdowns, which frankly to be expected, along in conjunction with price going down. Other than, I mean, I will say this: when Bitcoin's price recently dropped down to whatever it was, 29,000 and something, tremendous volume came in to snatch that up. So it didn't stay there very long, and then the volume kind of died back down. But so yeah, I mean, if things tremendously go on sale, people see it as a tremendous opportunity, and yes, it gets snatched up there. And so look, I'm not going to pretend like the number of XRP accounts being created is on par with what it was back in April when there was absolute mania in crypto in general, and XRP ran up to $2. But the fact that the account creation levels are where they are now is tremendous, and I will explain why. But I've got that. I want to share with you some thoughts from attorney John Deaton, not from a legal perspective. He happened to be talking about just functionally where is the market going ultimately. From a speculative perspective, does utility matter? And what he was talking about will lead me to segue directly into this article, which I just find fascinating. Now, for those of you not in the know, El Salvador has become the first country to make Bitcoin legal tender. So it actually has two different currencies that are legal tender. One is the United States dollar, and the second one is Bitcoin. Now, there's been some concern about the implications of this, and I've covered it on my channel, so I'm not going to rehash all of that. But take a look at this headline. I just find this fascinating. I thought you would too, so I wanted to run through this story before wrapping up the video, but it's titled, El Salvadorians Take to the Streets to Protest Bitcoin Law. My friends, they ain't having it. And these are legit concerns. So like on the surface, obviously it was all euphoria. Ooh, yay, country adopting Bitcoin. But the people living there, not all of them so thrilled. Now, before I go any further, though, I do want to be clear. I don't have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who makes YouTube videos as a super duper fun hobby, but that's all that's going on here, just to be clear. And so look at this metric from XRPscan.com. Number of new accounts activated. It's the chart in the middle of your screen right here, and it's going back over the last year. That's what you're seeing here. And so during periods of extreme euphoria and price ramping up, not surprisingly, it draws attentions. We know how humans behave in terms of their speculative nature. Something starts going up in price and, ooh, shiny, right? Ooh, look at that shiny thing over here. Of course, chasing, FOMOing into that, not always the best idea, because after things have quick run-ups, there's usually retracements, this and that, and so for people that don't know what they're doing, they're emotionally buying because they don't want to miss out, which is a really bad reason to buy something, I think, anyway. If you're not long-term oriented, damn. And so you can see here, like some of these days, some of the best days over the last year, on an individual day like here, in one day, 12,419 XRP accounts created. So much money flowing in, so many new people flowing in. But I got to tell you, I don't think it's only 12,419 people that bought XRP for the first time that day. And not that they all necessarily had to buy that day, but because we're talking about new accounts, they could have been holding on exchange and then transferred. But what I wanted to share with you, a number of things, including the fact that I don't believe that most people that buy XRP go to the trouble of setting up their own wallet. And so for the people that are purchasing XRP on exchanges, the way that almost all exchanges work is your XRP is actually held in a shared wallet with tons of other people's XRP. And that's why you have that little, what's it called, the little tag ID thing. If you've ever wondered what that's for, well, it indicates your little, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like little sub address basically within that wallet. And so if a bunch of new people, tons of people are buying XRP on exchange and it's in an existing wallet and then they just have a new tag, well, it's not reporting a new tag here. It's just reporting new accounts, which means if a crazy number of people buy XRP on exchange but don't create their own wallet off the exchange for their own cold storage, then you're not going to see those numbers reflected in this report. And so, I mean, gosh, I don't have any. If anybody knows of a good way to get data on this, let me know, because I'd love to report on it and happy to give you credit. But to be honest, I'd be surprised if even like 10% of people that buy XRP end up going to the trouble of creating their own cold storage wallet. Because most people just hold small quantities and they hold a bunch of other coins, and setting up a wallet for every single coin. Like, I'm sure some of you listening do that, and that's great, that's responsible. But I don't think most people do that. I really do not get the sense that most people do that. And so, if you look at today, like what's happening today? Well, on a typical day, it bounces around. You can kind of see the numbers on the screen if you happen to be looking. But for this month, it's mostly been, 2,000 to 3,000 accounts created per day. And that sounds way less than, if you go back to like April, May, yeah, way more accounts being created, fine. But still 2,000 to 3,000, just for frame of reference. If you were to go back to January of last year, on average, roughly, and this isn't a perfect number, but I just know from eyeballing it, about 500 new XRP accounts were being created per day in the beginning of last year. 500. And so now you're talking about, we had the big euphoria, not all, like markets, we're in a bull market still, but XRP ran up to $2, and then it's crashed back down. It got as low as 52 cents recently. And what I'm saying is that despite the pullback, on average, we're seeing 4 to 6 times as many new accounts being created per day as were being created a year and a half ago per day, despite the pullback. Now, to me, that's impressive. That's really something. And again, so if you're talking about, even if you're talking about 2,000 new accounts per day, in reality, I suspect, and I don't have proof of this, and I don't know for sure, it's just a suspicion, I am speculating, but I would be willing to state that I think it's probably more likely that if 2,000 people are setting up accounts, it's probably tens of thousands of new people per day getting into XRP. Tens of thousands. Which isn't crazy, I don't think, in a world that has roughly 7.8 billion people with a B. And considering that XRP markets are global, that doesn't sound wacky at all. If you're talking about tens of thousands of people jumping in. And so what happens is more people jump in. We already saw what happened last market cycle. XRP ran up to almost $4 with roughly, best guess, 0.001% of humans having ever held XRP at any point in time. And now you're talking about, my gosh, way more than that. In fact, take a look at this. This is ledger.exposed. This is the XRP rich list. There are now a little shy of 3.2 million XRP accounts total. Before XRP ran on its crazy tear a few years back when it ramped almost $4, before that tear started, there were, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of I think it was a little under 700,000 accounts. And so quickly, inside of a matter of 2.5 weeks or so, about 300,000, close to 300,000 accounts are created in about 2.5 weeks. Think about that. XRP had existed, being traded from 2013 up until that point, and it took all that time to get close to 700,000 accounts, and then in 2.5 weeks, 300,000 accounts, roughly. I'm using rough numbers here, I admit that, but that's insane. And so you're talking about way more people in this. My friends, you do know how supply and demand works, yes? And so as more people come in, I'm telling you, when this thing goes, it's going to go. And you think $4. There's way more people in this now. I mean, the idea of XRP, and look, this isn't a prediction. I don't know how high XRP is going to get, but the idea of XRP going to $10 or $20 or $30, I don't know if it's going to happen, but these ranges don't sound bonkers to me. Supply and demand. And we're still in a bull run. I don't care what anyone says. If you think we're in a bear market right now, I just respectfully disagree. I think you're wrong. That's fine. You can think I'm wrong too, but I really think you're wrong. This would be for so many reasons. I don't want to get into that again in this video. I've been talking about that a lot lately, but I really don't think that's correct here. So things are being adopted. And so here's a tweet from John Deaton, who is an attorney within the XRP community. He is the attorney that is seeking, though, to intervene in the SEC versus Ripple case on behalf of over 17,000 XRP holders, but that's not why I'm bringing up what he tweeted out in this particular latest Moon Lambo hot jam. No. I want to share with you this, though, because I think he's hitting the nail on the head. He wrote, "It is without question or debate that all other coins continue to be tied to Bitcoin. One day there will be a decoupling, and utility, or the lack thereof, will determine each coin's fate. That day is not today. I'm optimistic we will have a big run-up before the true bear market." And guys, I could not agree with that more. I know I normally highlight his tweets when he's talking about legal stuff, but damn, he is hitting the nail on the head here. Absolutely. I firmly believe there will at some point be a decoupling. I don't know when, though. Is it going to happen during the bear market? People thought that last market cycle, and I was never convinced, and I ended up being proven right, I think, to this point, because the whole market's still moving in tandem. So my suspicion ended up proving to be correct. And I don't pretend to know that was for sure the case. That's the reason I invested so much in XRP rather than other coins. It's because I wasn't completely sure throughout that utility was going to matter or not matter. I wasn't completely sure. I just strongly suspected, and I articulated it during the bear market while I was running this YouTube channel, because I launched this thing December 2018. Been running this channel over 2.5 years now. And I was saying that. I was like, it doesn't look to me like people are sufficiently parsing out the differences between coins, but I feel more comfortable purchasing XRP because I think utility matters and will win the day eventually, even if it's not today. So when will utility win the day? I don't know. It'll probably be a Wednesday. Who knows? We'll see. But he's, again, hitting the nail on the head here. And I do believe that he's correct when he states that XRP will have a massive run-up, big run-up, is how he worded, big run-up, before we hit the bear market. And so it's just about crazy speculation, not fundamentals. And I'm still going to enjoy that. But even once this is all done and utility takes hold, that'll be more satisfying, frankly. Like, I mean, it's fun. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes. Holding cryptocurrencies, and yes, if everything moons, yay. Fantastic. But it'll be more satisfying if my hypothesis here, my thesis, if you will, ends up proving to be correct. As long as XRP continues to be useful, money's going to pour in like crazy in the coming years and decades. But it's an if. And I feel confident at this point, don't get me wrong, but it's an if. XRP has to continue to be functionally useful, or else people aren't going to adopt it, period. But right now, it's in 2021 at least. I can't read the future, can't know the future, but looks pretty damn good at this point. And so then, those comments in themselves was a retweet from somebody named Danny Scott, who wrote, events from 2021 that are building the momentum for this Bitcoin bull run. El Salvador make Bitcoin legal tender. And so I read that and I was like, okay. Guys, I don't know. I generally don't buy into this idea that things happen, news stories occur, and then price moves. Yes, it can. I admit it can. But I think most of the time it's price happens anyway because people speculate. Sometimes it's wildly volatile, and then whatever's happening is attributed to that movement, when really it's just a bunch of humans emotionally buying and selling. That's what I think it is most of the time. So I didn't really buy into that. Then it wrote, 56% of Bitcoin mining reportedly renewable. Amazon looking into cryptocurrency payments. That's another one. And by the way, I haven't talked too much about this, but yes, there's rumors that Amazon is actually making its own cryptocurrency. There are some stories that have out there I've seen in crypto media that say Amazon is making their own cryptocurrency. I don't know if that's true. Amazon hasn't said it. Wouldn't be surprised if it's true. I don't know, though. And then he wrote, Twitter wants to introduce Bitcoin for a variety of features. So all these things, positive stuff, positive sounding at least. I'm still not convinced that this is the reason. To me, markets are cyclical, and it's just more so about emotional buying and selling. But even so, I wanted to talk about El Salvador because this is fascinating to me, genuinely. Check this out. Protesters calling themselves the Popular Resistance and Rebellion Bloc have come out against El Salvador's government passing a law making Bitcoin legal tender. A Tuesday tweet from local news outlet El Mundo shows El Salvadorians carrying banners saying no to Bitcoin. Hey, look, as long as the banners don't say no to XRP, we cool. You do you, girl. You do you. But anyway, so banners saying no to Bitcoin in the streets of San Salvador, demanding a repeal of the country's Bitcoin law. Legislative Assembly members Anabel Belosa and Dina Argueta addressed the protesters after first meeting the group separated by a barrier of razor wire. and for those of you looking on your screen, you can see, look at this. There's some little screen grabs right here. Wow. Now, in a letter made available at the protest, the Popular Resistance and Rebellion Bloc group claimed that President Nayib Bukele, whose name I continue to butcher, I'm assuming anyway, I don't know how it's pronounced, passed the law making the cryptocurrency legal tender in the country without proper consultations with the people. It also cited the volatility of Bitcoin, comparing investing in the cryptocurrency to playing the lottery. Quote, betting on the lottery is a voluntary act while Bitcoin is required by law. End quote. And so indeed, if you're a merchant, my understanding is that you have to accept Bitcoin, period. Now, Bitcoin is too slow and clunky to actually be used as money. So what is being theorized, and this is why potentially it's scary and bad, potentially, and this is hearsay, it's just a little speculation that I've heard, is that you're going to have a layer 2 solution that's completely centralized. So you could have, in theory, like quote unquote Bitcoin being traded, but it's not. It's not moving on the blockchain. Instead, what you've got is perhaps Bitcoin held by their central bank, and then they issue a token representative of Bitcoin that's on a blockchain that's much faster, and they can track who knows what other parameters are a part of it. And so you use that, and they call it Bitcoin, and it's backed by Bitcoin perhaps, but it's the government that holds all of the Bitcoin, all of it perhaps. And this is the fear. It could be a Bitcoin money grab because the rest of the world values it. So it's not just that the government has it, and it's not just like they're printing their own fiat currency. It's that they have something that the rest of the world says is valuable, and then they're hoarding it. And then the citizens think they have it, but they actually just have a token that's representative of it because it's a layer 2 technology. That's the concern. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just sharing with you some of the things that have been speculated about, and it's reasonable speculation. In fact, even David Schwartz, who is Ripple's CTO, co-creator of the XRP Ledger, even he's mentioned that in at least one interview that I've seen before. Anyway, piece continues. However, the group's main grievance around the Bitcoin legal framework seemed to be centered around a perceived disparity in the cryptocurrency's usage by the government when compared with the average resident in El Salvador. Protesters said Bitcoin only serves some large businessmen, especially those linked to the government, to launder ill-gotten money. Entrepreneurs who put their capital in Bitcoin will not pay taxes on their earnings, said the letter. In addition to Applied Bitcoin, the government will spend millions of dollars of the taxes paid by the people. And here's another quote. Bitcoin would facilitate public corruption and the operations of drug, arms, and human traffickers, extortionists, and tax evaders. It would also cause monetary chaos. It would hit people's salaries, pensions, and savings, ruin many MSMEs, affect low-income families, and hit the middle class. And so there you go. You guys can think of that, do whatever you will with that. But suffice it to say, a lot of people in El Salvador not too thrilled about this. Not too thrilled in the least. There's a lot of risk right here. So let me know what you think, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.